Mitchell's just... he's just complicated.
The world is a vampire.
He doesn't want to do anymore, he doesn't want to kill people anymore.
I never saw him as a vampire, really. It was just a consequence of who he was, you know?
He's got a lot of inner demons that he's having to deal with.
We try to equate vampirism within the series like a drug addiction. So consequently, at the beginning of the series, Mitchell is somebody who has decided to go cold turkey and to renounce his vampire tendencies and go on the wagon and go clean.
It's something he's been dealing with for years and years. And when we catch up with him, I think it's all come to a head, really, and he's sick of what he's become and the kind of person that he portrays to the world. I guess his conscience just catches up with him and his own morality.
So what happened was, I cut my finger, and the guy you live with, the one who was running around putting coasters under everything, told me there was glasses here, and then I felt a bit woozy, so... Are you okay?
Why don't we get you downstairs and find you a plaster or something?
I think he shows incredible strength throughout the series. He's determined, no matter what, he's going to stick to his principles, even when he's being opposed by, vile people such as Herrick.
And then over the course of the first episode, and indeed over the series, he's being tempted back into his old ways by the people by his fellow addicts.
You can't stop Mitchell. It's what we are. Now, come on. Just a taste. A sip.
I had this vague idea in my mind that I wanted to play it like a Christmas Carol, that over the course of the episode he gets visited by 3 vampires. So we start off with Seth, and then it's Herrick, and then finally it's Lauren.
Whatever it takes, we will drag you back!
And each one kind of tries to entice him back in a different way, until finally he kind of makes the decision and says, no, that's it.
Now, isn't this a touching scene?
What did you do to her?
Easy, Tiger. What's the problem? You just need to let her drink from you.
Becca, keep looking at me. Keep looking at me.
It's okay, honey. He'll save you. You can make all of this go away.
Mitchell, can you save her? I can't. She's losing consciousness!
You better hurry up. She's about 2 pints away from being an organ donor.
The death of Becca in episode 1 just consolidates his decision even more so. And so he kind of hurls himself into being a human. And his idea of doing this is to have coffee mornings.
Let me introduce you to everyone.
What?
Everyone, this is George. He doesn't bite. Well, only at a full moon. Now and again, he's quite rubbish at being human. It's a strange thing for somebody who's been around for a century and he still can't quite get a grasp of what being human is. Bless him. But, yeah, I mean, there's some odd stuff, like, inviting the neighbours over for tea and biscuits, and you're kind of going, what? Have a think about that. That's that. Your heart's in the right place, but it's not really the done thing. And, oh, get this right. Cassie only has 1 kidney. She was born that way. Nobody knows why.
I think for Mitchell, it's kind of like this normality, these people who aren't necessarily trying to lead him astray is quite a new language to him, just wanting him to be Mitchell, rather than Mitchell the vampire, the Mitchell this, that. Not putting those expectations on him leaves him to kind of really start looking at who he is. All the relationships he has have this horrible dark side to them, whereas I think he's found something quite pure with Annie and George.
I feel if George wasn't a werewolf, he wouldn't be friends with a vampire. He would never choose to mix with a vampire. He'd never, ever get the chance to be friends with someone like Mitchell, because Mitchell's really cool and George isn't. So they're kind of the odd couple. But because of their afflictions, they're thrown together and suddenly they kind of, they get on. Like Mitchell saved George and that's how they bonded.
They were going to kill me.
Yeah.
What?
They don't like werewolves.
Just to kind of ring the changes, I guess, between Annie and George, I wanted to make it so that, to imply that Mitchell had entered into this world, had taken on a kind of, taken on being a vampire by choice. By choice in as much as the backstory I had in my mind was that essentially it was during World War One, and Mitchell had stumbled across Herrick and some other vampires feeding on the dead and the dying. What Herrick had done is he'd said, I'll stop killing the rest of your men if you come and join us. Which Mitchell did, essentially to save the other men in his regiment.